felt like down. I never felt like down. But they're still with me. Down. You gotta turn down. Down. I never felt like down. But they're still with me. Down. You gotta turn down. I never felt like down.
There I am. Okay. Hello, beautiful people. Are you ready for some disappointment? Let's go. Nico, thank you for the tier one. Who is ready for the feet pics? That's a great question. Um, for those of you who don't know the context, you don't need to know. Actually, you just straight up don't need to know the context for that. But no, seriously, it was a joke on Twitter where there was like this ridiculous rumor, a ridiculous 4chan rumor. We'll take a look at it actually, like while we're just waiting and shooting the shit about this stuff. Where I was like, if even like a fraction of this shit happens, then I will straight up just post free foot pics on the main because it's that ridiculous. Let me go ahead and show you guys. It's just ridiculous. It's not happening. Um, but I'll show you guys anyway because it's just too juicy to not, right? Okay, we'll start with like the first page of this shit. Let me close out all these other tabs I have open. Too many fucking tabs open. Okay. So, let me center this real quick. So the first page of this awful 4chan rumor that is definitely not happening is Horizon. Okay, actually, this one is happening. Horizon Zero Dawn remastered. That's happening, actually. Um, really unfortunate. I don't think that should be happening, but it's happening. That's like confirmed. I think the worst thing about it, by the way, is that it's coming to, and I may have to elaborate here. Like the worst thing about it is that it's coming to PC. I feel like, and like with PC, when you buy a game like this, kind of like the advantage of PC is that when you buy a game, you shouldn't need the remaster because like it's a PC game. You know what I'm saying? Right? You can always play it at higher resolutions and fidelity. So literally, you are buying a texture pack. Like, is essentially like what's happening. But also, I guess, like at least on console, you can't just download a texture pack and stuff like that. But that's all that's happening um, is like we're getting that. Wait, is there music still playing, or is it just there shouldn't be anything doubling at this point? Oh, okay, Bear Boy must be behind. Anyway, okay, that took me off track because sometimes the stream is a little bit more delayed on YouTube. Anyway, Gravity Days 1 and 2 remaster. Ghost of Tsushima 2. Okay. No music. Okay, cool. Just making sure. Ghost of Tsushima 2. Now, let me tell you, I would love to see Ghost of Tsushima 2. That would be great. If this is the state of play, I would say okay. But here is where this rumor goes off of the deep end. And I mean completely off the deep end, dog. Like this is just like absolute insanity. Um Third party games, Project the Perceiver. Actually, I'm not even familiar with what that is. I'm not familiar with Code Jin to Young either. Some new Phantom Blade Zero gameplay. Lost Solace Guide. Starry Sky Valley. Apparently, like, I guess that's a new MiHoYo game. Stellar Blade DLC and collaboration announcement. I would be okay with that. If this was happening. Dragon's Dogma 2 expansion announcement. Resident Evil 9. Death Stranding 2. Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill F. Metal Gear Solid Delta. Okay, like, you know what? And like if it stopped right there, if it stopped right at Silent Hill 2, maybe I would believe it. Although all these games right here, before we get to that point, that's a PlayStation showcase, right? That's not a state of play. That's not a state of play. That's a that's a 2 hour PlayStation showcase, right? Like where it's like an absolute blowout. But anyway, also hello Ian, been a while. Hope you've been doing well. Um, Metal Gear Solid Delta, Kingdom Hearts 4, Final Fantasy 9 remake, Dragon Quest 12, right? Sin Duality, Echo of Ada. I'm not familiar with that one. The first Berserker, I think we saw that. That's a game that Ben Starr is voicing it. I'm so happy that he's getting so many projects, by the way. Looks like his career's really taken off after 16. He's a phenomenal voice actor. And yeah, I'm just really excited that he's getting so many opportunities to voice in games, uh, considering the kind of success of Clive's character. And then the Relic First Guardian, I'm not really familiar with that either. So, anyway, you could say that the sources cited here are a certain pipe of sorts. And there is no way that this is happening at all. Where's NAC 10? I know. I don't think any of this is, or I shouldn't say any of it. I don't think most of this is happening today. I do think that they're going to reveal PlayStation 6 and Switch 2, but I don't think Kingdom Hearts 4 is happening. That's a more realistic prediction. No, I'm just playing. Um, but yeah, we're not getting all of that, unfortunately. There are some realistic things, though, that could happen. Obviously and unfortunately, Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster, that's happening. For sure. Lego Horizon Adventures, I guess, yeah, because that's not out yet. That's probably happening. Um, I can see maybe it Ghost of Tsushima 2, if that gets announced, that would be like the headline for today. There have been rumors about Ghost 2 for a while now. I would be really excited for that one. Um, Phantom Blade, Phantom Blade's not impossible. Lost Soul aside, would be really cool. A Stellar Blade DLC again in collaboration announcement. Um, Again, that one's not impossible. Dragon's Dogma 2 expansion announcement, maybe not impossible. If you go into all of these except for Kingdom Hearts 4, I think that there's plausibility on a lot of these. Not Dragon Quest 12. I'm sorry, DQ fam. That shit is not happening today, straight up. Honestly, that's where things just like it's like there's no way that's happening. There's no way that's happening. And that is Kingdom Hearts 4 and Dragon Quest 12. That's like straight up no. Those are not going to be a thing. SE should throw a curveball and announce Final Fantasy 20 without making 17, 18, or 19. I mean, they could just pull like an iPhone 10, right? Skip iPhone 9 and just immediately go straight to 10. Um, might have put Final Fantasy 17 there for good measure. I know. Yeah, I think that Dragon Quest 12 is just DQ 12 is just really early, and that's just not happening right now. DQ 12 is like gonna be like an end of generation game, and I think it's gonna be PS5 and Switch 2. I don't think that DQ 12 is coming to the current Switch. I could be wrong about that, but if it is coming to the current Switch, then I expect it to be a very downscaled game in the way that they did for Dragon Quest 11. where Dragon Quest 11 was kind of downscaled too. The state of play start? No, no, no. State of play doesn't start until um, we got an hour and 14 minutes, I believe, right, chat? Until the state of play starts. So we're looking at BS rumors about the state of play. Where, it's really funny, like with these state of play rumors. Every time this happens, I'm just like, have you ever seen a state of play? Like, think about the best state of play ever, right? Like, the best state of play you've ever seen. Has this ever happened? Right? Ever? Ever? No? Well, then you should, like, factor that in when you want to make up fake leaks to make them look more real. There was a good state of play. Usually the good state of plays are like they have like one or two good games and then like a lot of like fluff in between. And then that's what I consider like a good state of play. But really the good Sony thing is like the PlayStation showcase. That's when things are like good. That's when it's like this type of ridiculous list is plausible, right? But typically, you have a PlayStation showcase when there is like some big stuff. No, I do expect some big things today, right? Like it does have to be pretty big. This does have to be a fairly convincing, um, a fairly convincing thing for them to make because we just got off of the PlayStation 5 Pro announcement, right? We just came off of that. And that was not a very good moment PR wise for Sony. They really need to come out and justify that price point, not only with the ability to play games, but games that you are going to want to play at their highest quality possible, right? So that's what they need to come out and show today. Games that make you incredibly enthusiastic about PlayStation. That's like the most vital thing that they could possibly achieve today. A cool artistic move would be to make FF 17, 18, and 19 a creative reconceptualization of 7, 8, and 9. Kind of like how you occasionally see with Shakespeare plays in movies with anime. That'd be cool. The last state of play, we had 15 minutes of Concord. Yeah, yeah. You know what's funny too about like something like Concord is that game development is so long that many games that are like Concord that are still in the works right now can't even course correct because they're already too far in, right? So all these service games that they got in the pipeline that are looking at Concord right now, it's too late for them to course correct from like where Concord was and like where Concord is heading. Like they can't just like, fix things. The soonest we'll see course correction is in like 5 years. Yeah, exactly. So that means that like all these other Concords that are gonna come out are still going to come out, and there's just like nothing that can be done. Gonna have any sub bets? No, no. Because genuinely speaking, I really don't know exactly what's gonna be shown today. We could see FF9 remake. We could see literally anything. Do you have any bingo cards set up for this? We should have one. I'm not expecting anything exciting as State of Plays have often been disappointing for me. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing,
Man,
right?
what a
Like
bunch of
with the State of
jokers.
Play, I forgot I even had that. KYH9, I forgot I even had that. Did that even work? Did that audio play even work? I didn't even see it. That's funny. I forgot I even had that. Yes, you heard it. Okay, cool. It did? Okay, good. I forgot I even put that on there. That's hilarious. I need to add more things to that soundboard so people can like mess with it. 15 games have already leaked. Leaked where? Dude, McGuy, hello. I didn't even realize there was a state of play today. I mean, dude, I wouldn't blame you. These state of plays are announced so last minute. Sometimes it sucks because, I'll have plans to do something or to work on something, and then it'll just come out and be like, oh yeah, state of play tomorrow. And I have to completely rearrange everything I'm doing so that we can watch the state of play. Thankfully today it was pretty easy to, rearrange my schedule for it. Um tomorrow, tomorrow I believe. Um actually let me confirm real quick. So hopefully tomorrow we're gonna be having a. I just sent the message to like reconfirm with everyone, but idealistically tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. So you may have to convert that to your local time zones. I'll have all the time zones listed. However, we're going to be having the Final Fantasy Avengers Assemble to do a little talk about the state of FF, and it should be a really positive, constructive conversation. So that's what I'm hoping to make it be. I should say. I don't wanna have it just be a like beat up FF anymore type conversation. I know some people are tired of uh, you know, because it is kind of a negative discussion, I guess, for some. I don't really see it as a negative discussion, but some people say that they do see like, kind of talk around it as negative. I don't think it's negative necessarily because we're trying to think constructively and think about, what kind of feedback that all of us as a community can send Square Enix to, you know, help guide them to a place where FF can be okay. I think the feedback to give them is to go back to 2D backgrounds. That would be dope. Have you ever been to Japan before? I have not, but I'm hoping to make that a reality maybe next year. Something I still want to do like while I'm young. The games that look good and cost less. And that's kind of the thing too, is that like there's two choices that we have like when it comes to games, right? You keep a high scale or you scale up, right? Which is to say you make a AAA game. And then you make a AAA game and by doing so, you have to sell more units because you made something aggressive and expensive and you have to recoup the costs. Or you make something cheaper and you don't have to sell as many, but you appeal to a certain base, right? And you do that in order to, uh, you don't have to sell as many copies and it's more sustainable because the game is cheaper to make. Those are the two options. So stuff like that. And again, we'll have Daryl from FF Union on, we'll have Schrodinger's Baby Seal, and we'll have Frustrated Jacob, and we'll have me, of course. So that should be the agenda. Oftentimes, to make something better, you have to critique it, even if it's something you like, even if you only praise it, no matter what. What incentive is there uh, for it to improve? Yeah, I mean, like here is the thing, right? Like the value of like good critique. If you're an artist of any type and you hate critique from anyone, you're probably like not like a particularly great artist, actually, like bluntly speaking. Um, you typically tend to like not do so well. as an artist. And the reason is that as an artist you do need critique. Now, with that being said, you don't need critique from just like any person, right? You need good critique. Critique that comes from someone who is educated on the subject matter and can actually give you well-informed, thoughtful critique. So it is true that critique from just anyone doesn't like do it, right? So you need good critique. Good critique from people who understand what good art is. Um, and that's the way, that's the only way you can get better, right? Is to have good critique. Um, because Jonathan Witt's hitting facts. I know you know for sure, but right? Because like take someone like Jonathan for example, bro. If you send like an art piece to someone and they just say, "Oh, I think it's perfect," like that's good. Like, you know, I do want to hear people say that, right? Like you do want to hear that. You do want to hear that of, for most people, like it really checked off that box. But then whenever you want to grow to the next level and you want to do it even better, you send it over to like another like skilled artist, and then they kind of tell you things that that skilled eye is going to perceive that like an average person who's just kind of like, fiddling around with it really won't. And maybe you look at some of the feedback, and this is always a thing too, is that you're always going to get feedback on stuff. You're going to get some like some negative feedback. What you have to do as any creative is sort what feedback is actually good and what is bad feedback. And that's also like um, a really complicated process. Um, and so it's tough because you have everyone list in your ear. And in game development, especially, what they tell you is um, you can't really listen to what the player is saying directly. You have to interpret actually the feedback that the player is giving you and then figure out how to address it, right? So the player may tell you something like, I will just use FF16 as an arbitrary example here, and this as an arbitrary example. I'm not saying that this is necessarily a good piece of feedback or not, but this is just an arbitrary example from the community, right? Some people may say in FF16, like, oh, I don't like the combat because there are no elemental weaknesses. Let's take that as like an arbitrary pick. Well, then, as a developer or as a director or any type of artist, like your idea or the way you approach it should not just be directly implement elemental weaknesses. You have to actually ask yourself, why does the player feel like elemental weaknesses are necessary in the game? Like, why do they feel that's missing? And then once you figure out why they feel like it's missing, then you come up with the solution to achieve that, right? So, what it may be is that the real issue is not, say, elemental weaknesses are missing. It could, in fact, just be that, oh, it feels like a lot of the attacks that I'm using are arbitrary and there is no specific scenario. So it kind of makes me feel like, or it kind of makes some players feel like, say, for example, that there aren't strategic situations where it's good to use one attack over the other. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that's true. This is purely an arbitrary example to explain what I'm trying to tell you. So then maybe you come up with some type of like mechanic or system in Final Fantasy. Let's just say there's a Final Fantasy 16 too. And then you come up with some type of mechanic where you do need to use certain attacks to counter other things, right? Specifically. And then all of a sudden you may find that the feedback for elemental weaknesses isn't as strong as it was previously. That's how a lot of feedback gets processed, right? So Um, because as a creative, you really can't just take people's like direct feedback oftentimes and then just literally implement it. Um, because a lot of times there's things that the player thinks that the player wants, but the player doesn't actually want that. But they are communicating typically something that they feel is missing from the experience, but they're articulating it wrong. Another example could probably be Final Fantasy XIII's hallways, quote unquote, right? But honestly, I mean, yes, the hallways, but like linearity is not like the core problem with Final Fantasy 13, right? I would say that it's the overarching gameplay loop of the game. And so you could if they were listening to feedback of the user directly, they would just make bigger, less linear maps. And then they'd actually have a worse situation. Like 13 would actually be tremendously worse if they just made bigger, less linear maps. Because that's not the core issue with the game. Actually, it would exacerbate several issues. The other true issues with the game. However, that's why you can't just like look at like this is what the player is saying. Let's just take what the player is saying and directly implement it. Rewatched your retrospective on Final Fantasy X this morning. Rather listen to it again on my way to work and just chef kiss. Probably gonna replay 7 through 12 again just because. Oh man, thank you, Nico. I appreciate it. I'm trying to work on like another one right now for another game. I don't want to say which game it is, but because every time I say I'm working on like a specific video, like something happens and then it never comes out. But I am trying to follow that up with something else. Um, have you been closely paying attention to like what I've been talking about recently, or a certain game I've been obsessed with? You might could tell. It's not Final Fantasy, actually, but it is another game. Absolutely, in Square's eyes, multiple ports, reincarnation approved, replicant, remaster approved. Tomb Raider was significantly more expensive to make relative to its sales than Nier. Yeah. And I've talked about Nier before too, where Nier has just been a horribly mismanaged IP in terms of like them following it up because we should have already been at Nier 3 by now. Like, and this is an example of how long it's been. Do you guys realize that it's been so long since Nier Automata that we're seeing games, and remember, games nowadays can take like 7, 8 years to make. We're now seeing Nier Automata likes games that are clearly influenced by Nier Automata because it's been so long since Nier Automata has come out that games that are inspired by it have already went through a full development cycle and released, and we still do not have Nier 3. Do you guys think about how insane that is? Like if I was Square Enix, I would make sure that Nier 3 was out right now. Like there would just be no question. And one of the reasons I emphasize this so much, one of the reasons I emphasize this so much is like Nier Automata sold in the way that Final Fantasy games are supposed to sell. It sold 8 million units. By the way, Nier Automata was nowhere near as expensive as Final Fantasy VII Remake, was nowhere near as expensive as Final Fantasy 16, nowhere near as expensive as Rebirth. For that matter, nowhere near as expensive as Final Fantasy 15, for sure, or 13. And it outsold, with the exception of 15, every game I just listed, by the way, has sold more units. 8 million surpasses Bloodborne. Holy shit. Yeah. 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 And think about how think about how we are like looking at Sony like a fucking like insane company because we're like Sony is not remastering Bloodborne. Like, what is going on? Anyone would see that remastering Bloodborne would be a great idea, right? It sold really well. People still love the game. People talk about it every day. Hello, El Gregs. What's up, man? And yet we don't have a Bloodborne remaster. And Nier is the exact same way, right? They finally did the thing that they've been trying to do all these years, and they cultivated an IP as influential, potentially more if it kept going, as influential as Final Fantasy, sells as much or more than Final Fantasy. And then they just stopped. They just stopped. It is so insane. It's the most insane thing ever. I cannot figure it out. I care far more about Nier than Final Fantasy. I think a lot of people do. Anecdotally, even as a channel that mostly focuses on FF, my Nier videos actually get more, way more views. Whenever there's Nier news, that it gets way more traction than like FF stuff, which is crazy. Yoko Taro and Saito is working on something that's not Nier. What do you think it is? I don't want to say this preemptively because, it could be something really awesome. But like, whatever it is, it's just like, damn, man, y'all should have been working on Nier. Like, if it's a new IP or whatever, like, I think that's cool. But I'm like, man, y'all should have been working on Nier. You guys should have been working on Nier. Like, what are you guys thinking? So, I don't know. Whatever they're working on, I'm excited for it because anything with Taro's name on it, I'll give it a shot. But I'm just like, yeah, you guys need to be producing more Nier. Nier Reincarnation was a nice, gotcha for what it was worth. I never played it. However, it's just like it's great. It's great, but I'm just like, dude, you know what we really want, and that's a proper Nier 3. Sometimes the game industry is just like, you like Nier, you like Bloodborne, got it. You get Concord. I get how it can feel that way, but like the way they're really looking at it is, um, the way they're looking at it is, you like Genshin, you like Fortnite, you like Overwatch, you like Apex. Here's Concord. That's the way I think that they're looking at it more so than um denying the fact that we like Nier, Bloodborne, and games like that. Because that's the money that they're chasing, really, is that they see the service game and they're like, well, the service game makes so much money. We want some of that money. I understand the people's like position on this though, because the way a lot of people see it is that, well, I already play like, one or two service games, right? Like, I don't have time to dedicate to another service game, right? Like, suppose you put all your money and time into Nikkei arbitrarily, let's just say. And it's like, yeah, even if a new service game is good, I'm already like, a few grand in debt from Nikkei. Not really. But, you know, you don't have the bandwidth to really support another service game. However, the way a lot of these companies are looking at it is is that while you may not have the bandwidth to support another service game, someone else does, you know? And it'll be like their one service game that they play and they revolve around. And, unfortunately, whether you agree with this being the appropriate term or not, the games tend to rely on what they call whales in the industry to support the game. And, those whales, if you can get like, a tight circle of good whales, I just feel like that's so derogatory to say, but that's like the industry term they use um to describe these people. And yeah, if you get that like really, tight-knit circle of people who will do most of the heavy lifting for funding the game, everyone gets to play. And um yeah. Live service market is the super oversaturated market. Anything not top tier quality and looks super interesting would be dead on arrival. That's kind of the big sticking point, I feel like, is that it's not like I would not play a service game, right? Like it's not like that's like off the table for me. Technically I do play one, and that's Final Fantasy 14. Big reason for Final Fantasy 14 is that FF14 is actually a very sustainable service game, right? Because you get all the way through Stormblood for free, and then you start paying the monthly fee, and you'll really only have to pay it whenever new content comes out, right? So whenever there's content you want to sub and play, then you can play it. The expansions only happen every 2 years, and those are $40. And if you miss a few expansions, you only have to buy the latest one to get access to all the latest expansions. So it's really fairly priced, and it's also not a game where you are paying to win. You're just paying to access it, and I think that's completely fair, right? Um, I mean, there are definitely gotchas that kind of interest me, but usually it is when they achieve the console quality. So one that I'm really interested in particular is Persona 5X. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but Persona 5X is a mobile game, and it basically is a full Persona game. It is not like you know, a it's not like the like early 2010s era Square gotchas, not to like knock on those because some of them, have great communities and stuff like that. But it's not just like, oh, you just auto battle and idle through everything and all the other stuff. It's like a real Persona game that has gotcha baked into it. This is also why I think that like a lot of Hoyoverse stuff is like really taken off, because it's like there's like an actual console quality game there. I think whenever you make a gotcha with the console quality at like the forefront of it, then it can like really take off, and I would like kind of be interested in it. But I think that like kind of pushes me off like a lot of other ones is that there is not that console quality there. It's just an auto battle game where you need to go through like a dopamine loop. Hoping for something big from SE. Oh, first of all, thank you, Robert, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Robert says, hoping for something big from SC that has been kept under wraps. Every year, I'm hoping they dust off Chrono Trigger. Not likely now without Toriyama. Again, thank you so much for the super chat, Robert. I completely agree that Chrono Trigger is due for an IP revival. I don't know if they could ever remake it. Like realistically speaking, I don't know if like Chrono Trigger can like. I mean, it's not gonna satisfy everyone if they do remake it, right? I would almost say that like maybe just HD 2D Chrono Trigger and then do like a third Chrono game rather than trying to remake it as a AAA game or trying to remake it like Dragon Quest 11 looking. Yeah, it's got to be HD 2D or something like that because um I don't know if people would trust them enough to remake it at that fidelity. It would be exciting, but yeah. With Kato doing another Eden, I'm not seeing any Chrono sequels. Yeah. I don't think Chrono Trigger could ever happen again. It's such a lightning in a bottle game. It is. Have you ever played Legend of Dragoon? No. I thought about streaming it because it's like a classic JRPG that I missed out on. And I'm sure people would be interested to see me play it. So maybe I'll one day we'll do that. We need a better Chrono Cross remaster. I feel like that's like the discussion that happens every time Square Enix releases a remaster. Like, I don't think that there's a single remaster that Square Enix has ever done when people are like, "Oh yeah, this is actually acceptable. We don't need." Actually, I take that back. The Kingdom Hearts remasters are like good enough, pretty decent. And the Final Fantasy 12 remaster is good, but like most other remasters, people are like, "Yeah, this sucks, Square. Do it again, but better." The problem with doing a new Chrono game is that the IP has been shelved for decades and wouldn't resonate or have familiarity with new audiences. Yeah. I mean, Chrono sold really well for a Super Nintendo game at the time, especially. I think it's like 2 million units, 3 million units. So it did really well. But we're following that game up 30 years later. So, um, yeah. I mean, you definitely get like a million solid like JRPG enthusiasts to buy it, but then like how do you get beyond that? But that's perfectly fine for an HD 2D game, right? Like an HD 2D remake, if you can get it to sell a solid million units. The most disliked channel. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I don't know if they could ever do a new Chrono game. I think rebooting Parasite Eve though. I think rebooting Parasite Eve could potentially be like a really solid banger. The only problem is that unironically, the only company I trust to do a Parasite Eve remake is Capcom and not Square Enix. I don't think Square Enix could do a Parasite Eve remake. I straight up don't. Like if I'm being honest, I don't have the belief in them being able to like reboot Parasite Eve right. And the third birthday was like an abomination to God. I'm sorry to anyone who liked that game. I'm so sorry. That game was cheeks, dog. That was not Parasite. That'd be a bomb ass collab. Bro, I would fucking go insane. Like imagine just seeing like Square Enix X Capcom Parasite Eve. Like I would be fucking screaming, bro. I would be screaming. Could you imagine like, you know, a Parasite Eve like continuation or remake? It's an RE engine. That shit would go fucking wild, bro. It's like some type of weird crossover between RE4 remake and Final Fantasy VII remake. The gameplay, you're playing like Leon, but there's like an ATB meter for stuff. That shit would go insane. I'm not saying that's how it should actually work. I just threw out something semi-random for how I think they would try to modernize that battle system. Character assassination of Ayabrea or character assassination of Salvador? I don't know. I wouldn't want them to play the Third Birthday or Metroid the other M. Yeah. Parasite Eve would need to have those shitty graphics though. The vibe is in those low polygon graphics. I thought the graphics were neat as fuck back in the day. Yeah, Capcom would be like the only people I trust to do uh like a new Parasite Eve. But like again, I don't think that Square Enix and Capcom would ever collaborate. I just don't see that ever being a thing. Um it just wouldn't happen probably. We're doing a drinking game for today's state of play where we take a shot for every remaster or re-release. So this is actually like where I'm starting to notice a lot of people really get tired, especially on like the Sony side of things. I think people are starting to get tired of like not necessarily remakes, but also kind of remakes and re-releases and remasters of all like types. That's not to say that there isn't room for remakes and there's not room for remasters and that type of stuff. Because clearly we all still want like Bloodborne remaster, right? Or something like that. Like we clearly all still want that. I just got done talking about how if we're gonna reboot or remake Parasite Eve, I would want Capcom to do it, and that'd be like a super exciting thing for me. So clearly there is a space for those types of games. But what I am personally seeing is that people are tired of low hanging fruit remake remasters, right? That's where people are starting to get like, I'm so tired of this shit, right? Like, if it's an ambitious reimagining of a game series to put it back out there to continue it in some way, um, or a game that is like, would really benefit deeply from having done this, or it could show a different perspective on that same game's world, or do something, you know, really creative and push the form in an interesting way. Then I'm excited for, a remake. However, it feels like so many of those remakes are far and few between. It seems like a lot of remakes are just like, it's this thing again. Sometimes that has utility, sometimes it doesn't, right? Like, again, I enjoyed Persona 3 Reload, but at the same time, it's also tiring to see that everything is a remaster and everything is a remake too. I think there is a balance, and there is appropriate games to remake and remaster. But I think we're all like also kind of craving something new, and it also feels like the balance is not even right now. It feels like things are leaning closer toward such and such remake, such and such remastered. Um, this is entirely hyperbolic, but it does feel like, again, not an accurate proportion at all, but it's feeling more like 80% remaster and then 20% new game, where I want it to feel like, 80% new games and then 20% remakes and remasters as like the output, right? I feel like there should be more output on new games. And again, that's probably, me being way hyperbolic, but it just does feel like we're getting more of that stuff. Hello, NSP. What are your thoughts on the Drakengard series remaster remake? Given that Nier Automata has made the series um, mainstream, should prequels be brought back? Oh, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Like that would be like a very beneficial remake or remaster, just because a lot of people didn't get to play those games. So, I mean, most of the Yoko Taro games before Nier Automata sold like, under a million. And now Yoko Taro has a big audience and a big following. So for them, if you say remaster or remake Drakengard 3, for a lot of people, that's just straight up a brand new Yoko Taro game that they get to play, right? So there's a good utility, I think, for remakes and remasters, and what you're using here as an example, I think, is perfect. That's what that's the appropriate use of a remake or a remaster is to bring a game forward that needs a re-release, that needs that updated version, in order to either reach an expanded audience, right, or to reach new people. Persona 3 Reload is also a great example, because Persona 5 has sold 7 million units between the vanilla version and Royal, right? 7 million. That is well above Persona 3 and 4. Well above Persona 3 and 4, right? So now you have this massive new Persona audience. Persona is very mainstream now. Persona is arguably as mainstream as Final Fantasy is now. Possibly more, actually. Possibly more, judging by like recent sales, right? So Persona is super mainstream. And as a result, releasing Persona 3 Reload, like as someone mentioned in chat, like going through Reload for them as like an already like P3 fan was kind of boring because you start it and it's exciting and then you realize it's just a game that you've already played before, right? However, the benefit of that is that there is a brand new Persona audience post 5 that I really think that's for fundamentally. This may be an insane take. However, I think that remakes, to me at least, are more about the new audience coming in than necessarily it is about you reliving your childhood. I actually think people reliving their childhood should be the secondary thing for a remake. I think the primary thing is for new fans, for the next generation, for younger people who weren't around when these games came out, to be able to experience the game and understand it in an effective way. So I judge a lot of this remakes to be more about the new audience than just about the old. It's a bit of both, I'd say. Yeah, it's not like it's like entirely not about the established audience. Don't get me wrong. I just think that it's really crucial that the new audience is resonating with the material, right? P6 is about to sell much higher than Rebirth or 16, I feel. I feel very confident saying that P6 will sell higher than Rebirth or Final Fantasy 16. I feel pretty confident in saying that. I think that Persona as a franchise going forward is going to be bigger than Final Fantasy, or at least Final Fantasy currently is. In fact, I would probably go as far as to say that P6 lifetime sales might even hit 10 million, just judging by the trend line, right? Because when you look at like Persona is like Persona's like the greatest, like it's the most ideal trend line for a series you could ever want. Right? Like Persona 2 duology selling more than Persona 1, Persona 3 selling more than 1 and 2. Actually, I may be wrong about 1 and 2, but I'm pretty sure that 2 duology sold more than 1, didn't it? I might be wrong about that. But 3 sold more than 2, 4 sold more than 3, And then 5 sold exponentially more than 1 through 4. And so Metaphor doesn't have a limited platform release. It's on Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox. I think it's good. Well, unless you mean like it not being on Switch, that could be a problem for Japan. But I think Metaphor, yeah, it'll probably come to Switch too, though eventually. Man, I should really try Persona. I hear so many people say how great it is. You definitely should. I would say it's like my second favorite JRPG series after FF. Is it on PS4? I think Metaphor is on PS4, isn't it? Let me check. Yeah, Metaphor is coming to PS4. Yeah, it's coming to PS4. So, one thing I also think about too is that when Nomura was doing when he was doing the designs for, like, let's say Advent Children. I don't know if you guys all watched my discussion with Prof Noct. But one of the things I actually talked about is just like how on point Advent Children was for the years that it came out, which was during like the peak of emo. It was just so culturally relevant to me and my friends at the time. It had the aesthetic that was just so appropriate for what was it, like 2005, 2006? Extremely appropriate aesthetic, right? And Advent Children really popularized FF7 with a lot of the emo kids at the time because it was just resonant with like the aesthetics of the time. And I just always feel like if we're talking about FF17 or like where FF needs to go, like being able to create something that has the appropriate aesthetic that the current audience will buy into or that appeals to that audience, I think is really important. And I actually don't know if FF has really had that, like with its newer numbered games. Like I don't know. Well, it's hard for me to I don't know if, yeah, I don't feel like it's I don't know if they've like really dialed into 2024 popular weeb adjacent aesthetics. So that's maybe something to think about. But here's also the other side of that, right? Here's why I won't quite say that that's exactly what they should do is like look up and like be like, "Oh, this is what the kids like," and then do that. The other side of that though is like if they do that in 7 or 8 years, whenever the next game comes out, the trend will have already changed again. Like Final Fantasy Versus 13, if you think about it, it took so long that by the time Versus became 15 and then released, a lot of the character designs from Versus and a lot of the look of Versus like stuff may not have necessarily worked like with the released 15. Like and by that specifically, I mean like the trash bag Noctis design. I call it the trash bag because in some ways like the because it was always meant to be a placeholder. Like the OG like Versus Noctis design, it was never meant to be his final. design. It was like literally just something Nomura came up with for the trailer. Um, but yeah, that wouldn't have actually like been an appealing looking design for like later on. Not to say that Versus's art hasn't aged well. It's just to say that like the age that inspired Versus's art was actually probably less appealing years later than it was at the time that Versus was announced. Although I do think Versus has some timeless qualities to a lot of his art, as evident by Rex. I'm not sure that I'm getting across like what I'm trying to say correctly. I'm not saying that Versus is not still cool. Because Versus is still cool as fuck. You guys get what I'm saying. I'm saying that the era that inspired Versus like doesn't exist now, right? Like you wouldn't see someone design a game like Versus, like a look like Versus now, because the character hairstyles and some of the artwork on that is just not like what you would probably like put out in 2024. Does that make sense? Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay, cool. Yeah. And so what I'm trying, the point that I'm trying to articulate with this is that they made something that, or not even this, Versus is not a good example for this. Let me back out of that entirely because I don't think I'm saying, or I'm getting this across right. Versus Noctis is literally Sasuke because Sasuke was cool at the time. Near enough, exact same hair, edgy clothes, and glowing red eyes. Nobody can tell me otherwise. No, and but that's like my point, right? Like I don't know how that would resonate with like kids today. I know that for me, I still look at Versus stuff and I think it's like the coolest thing in the fucking world. But like I don't know if that's like still the coolest thing in the world to someone 10 years younger than me. You know what I'm saying? Like um I guess that's what I'm ultimately trying to say there. I don't know if it's still as cool, like, because I still look at Versus and I think that's the coolest looking shit in the world, right? But I was also like 14 or 15 when I saw like Versus, I think, something like that. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. Uh, so yeah, it's really hard to say. It's really hard to say. But I guess the point that I'm really trying to get across is that the development cycles are so long that you come up with something and then it may not even be like the trend 7 or 8 years later. NSP, I'm Gen Z and I'm totally with you. Versus is very, very cool. Okay, cool. Gen Z has fucking taste then. Okay, good deal. The kids are all right, guys. uh, the coolest shit ever at 14. Turns out that's the coolest shit ever, period. Now you're like 40 and it still looks cool. Do I look for fucking 40 to you? Sir, excuse me. I'm older Gen Z and Versus looks cool. Okay, cool. See, I don't feel like disconnected from like the perspective of Gen Z because I'm a younger millennial, I guess. And so a lot of like I guess like older Gen Z stuff still like crosses over to me, especially because yeah, I'm 33 for clarity, chat. How old is older Gen Z? Actually, I don't even know. I look 21. Fucking thank you. Actually, that's so based. Holy fuck, you're so based for that. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So that makes perfect sense cuz the older Gen Z is 27 and younger millennials are 28 to yeah, so 28. So right. So I think that actually I would actually go as far as to say that younger millennials and older Gen Z are probably not as different, or I probably have more in common with like older Gen Z, like probably someone 25 to 27 than like say necessarily like someone who's like because older millennials goes all the way up to 43. So I'd say at this current point in my life I probably have more in common with someone who's like 27 than someone who is like 43. But I am 33. Right, so I'm a young millennial. Because millennials, actually, here, I'll just pull this up for you guys. Because this is what the age ranges are, so that we can look at this. Bear in mind, this is Google AI, so this shit may be like completely wrong. You look mid 20s. You guys are flattering the fuck out of me. Thanks. So, yeah, I don't know. Because I'm in between, I feel like I understand older Gen Z, and I kind of understand millennials that are older than me too. I guess because I am right there in between. So I guess I feel like I have the perspective of these guys, but I can still understand the older ones here. I don't know about this end of the spectrum because I talk to my nephew sometimes, and like some of his gamer opinions and stuff are like quite different than say um, the ones I grew up with. Although I am proud of my nephew. He's got some pretty base takes. Like believe it or not, his favorite game of all time. He's like 14. His favorite game of all time is Resident Evil 4 OG. Not even the remake. He's really into 4 OG. It's pretty fucking based. Yeah. Holy, that's based. Yeah, and I'm like trying to think like how the fuck did that even happen? Like how did you how did you even get like how did you even get that deep into like RE4 OG at your age? Like what even happened to like make you like that into it? I don't know, but he's really fucking into the OG. Um I'm 6 years older than you, and you should remember most stuff I do. Maybe not everything, but I'm sure we watched the same shows and played the same. Right, and like if you're 6 years older than me, you have like a better memory of probably like a lot of the cultural stuff surrounding the games, right? So, someone like me who played FF7 as a kid, and then if you talk to someone like Clark, who's a little bit older than me, Baby Seal, he would remember a lot more of the cultural context of what was going on at the time and give a different perspective. And I can only give like broken memories of that time. Um, but it allows me to like understand that perspective. And then also too, um, I would be the same way for, say older Gen Z who's like 25 to like 27 ish. And I'd be like, oh yeah, yeah. I was also into that same thing you were, but I'm a little bit older to more accurately remember the things that were happening at that time, if that makes sense. Young versus old millennial seems like such a huge difference. Growing up in the 80s versus the 90s. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's kind of like what I'm saying too, right? Is that as a young millennial, I can understand probably younger or relate to probably like younger or older Gen Z a little bit better than like say older millennials. I don't know if that's necessarily true, actually, now that I think about it, but I do think that might be true. I'm just saying that I'm like right there in between. I can see this way and that way, right? Um, it doesn't seem like older Gen Z is not like foreign, but neither is like older millennials for me because I'm in between. But I imagine that if you're older millennial, that like all of Gen Z is probably like super fucking foreign to you. Like it's all like super. Like I imagine if you're 40 plus and you're looking back at like if you're looking back at like Gen Z, you're probably like, yeah, what the fuck? But if you're like 30 right now, then you probably understand a lot of Gen Z stuff, but then you're obviously not Gen Z, right? But you culturally understand like a lot of Gen Z stuff or lingo and things like that. Anyway, all of which is to say, the term is zillennials. Actually, yeah, that's actually the term because it's such a common thing, right? Um, zillennials has like become a term, I guess, for people who are like, I guess like right, because if you're like 28 right now, you're technically a millennial, which is weird. But like, yeah, you're technically a millennial if you're 28 or 29. But like if you're 28, you probably have more in common with Gen Z, for example. Because you're right at that cutoff point. You probably still have more in common with Gen Z than you do with. Well, no, you probably actually have equally in common, I should say, with Gen Z that you do with millennials if you're 28. Because you probably have a lot of things in common culturally with people in like their mid 20s as well. But you probably at like 28 probably have a lot of things in common with people who are maybe like a little bit older than you. Generations are an illusion, I guess. All was that to say. I mean, the line is so blurred between people who are 27 to 32 years old that you can't really tell if they're millennials or Gen Z, right? But also, I do feel like too that Gen Z and millennials are closer together than, um, say, millennials and like Gen X and baby boomers, right? Because the internet exploded culture and both Gen Z and millennials are connected to the internet. And so as a result, we both witness a lot of the same cultural phenomenon, right? Whereas if you're older than a millennial, you're completely disconnected from that cultural phenomenon, right? You completely don't understand. You didn't grow up with it at all. And it's just really weird because the internet has shaped culture in such a vast, complicated, and weird way. It's cool, it's scary, it's good, it's bad, it's like all these things. There's no like really like one way to define it, you know. Let's go ahead and pull up the state of play. Where is the official state of play? Holy crap, there's so many like state of play, but it's just dinguses like me co-streaming it and not like okay, I found it. I found it. I think this is already cropped well enough. We are 10-ish minutes out. I'm gonna go ahead and put the headphones on. We are about to begin soon. Excuse me. Personally, I have more in common with millennials, but then again, with the way I grew up, having to grow up fast because of abusive home, I probably do relate to millennials more than Gen Z. Hang out with my kids and stuff. The stuff they say is pretty wild. I have no idea what is going on with these Gen Z kids. They're a different breed of person. Yeah, I understand it all. I feel like I've been given. Well, honestly, the problem is that I'm just chronically online, so I understand like I understand like a lot of culture, I guess. I'm exposed to a lot of it. So, Luli, hello. Shout out to Windows 97 playing Worms. I will say like the nice thing though too about being in between the generations too is that you kind of have like a cultural understanding, like maybe in ways that other people don't. You understand like the importance of a lot of things and the significance of like a lot of cultural things that like um maybe people ahead of you and behind you wouldn't quite understand. So, I miss Windows XP sometimes. That's funny. Okay, looks like we're. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Oh, I accidentally paused it. My headphones will pause when I take it off. Oh wait, did I pause it? Oh wait, I did. Okay, let's scoot up. Here we go. Nice. Nice. Oh man, whoever said Astrobot DLC, I think you were right. Oh, free! Free DLC for Astrobot. Incredible.
I'm just the studio head at Team Asobi. We couldn't be happier with the reception to Astrobot and to see how much joy Astro is bringing to homes all around the world. On behalf
Oh
of
wait,
Team
was that
Asobi,
Eve?
thank you
Oh my
so
god.
much. Now,
I didn't even notice.
Surprises up our sleeves. Today's trailer was a sneak peek at the DLC we'll release later this year at no additional cost. We'll have more to share soon. But for now, let's enjoy the state of play.
Wow, free DLC. Astrobot keeps winning, dog.
Listen to me, burnt one. If you're intending to walk the midnight walk, you better be sure to keep your spark safe and burning.
While I was in the black, I had a dream.
Yo, what is this?
There was a monster in the woods.
That's cool, dude. I'm into it. I'm into it.
I don't remember when it happened, but I remember how I felt. Father told us
Resident
to
Evil
hide
9.
to our house. Then they took him away.
Stop motion or poorly optimized frame rate? No, it's stop
Mother
motion.
said I couldn't play outside anymore. Everyone had fled. She said the country was sick, but we would be okay. Mother always said monsters didn't exist. I thought they lived under my bed. We were both wrong. They live inside our heads.
Oh. Is this a Souls-like? Oh, okay. Chad, this is actually kind of cool. It's literally called Hell. Oh, okay, no. Hell is Us. Or wait, is it called Hell is Us? Okay. I thought the name of the game was just Hell. That would have been so dope. Soul Stranding? Yeah, that's the vibe I get too. Hell is Us. I'm into it. Okay, I think we're 3 for 3 so far. Some pretty interesting games.
My story is a tale of rules rewritten by nuclear fire.
Oh, hey, Serdar!
Have you seen Yana? Something happened. She's in no state to be wandering out in the metro alone. I need to go after her. Their bodies arranged in some sort of ritual.
PSVR 2? Yeah, I'm...
What is that? I keep hearing other voices on the radio.
You said there were people there.
Did you not hear any of that? Yana, is that you? I'm seeing things. Hearing things. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Sometimes we need to become the thing we fear. To prevent something worse.
Okay, we're 3 and 4. I'm not really feeling that one that much. I never played the series, so maybe...
So, how did it feel to learn the truth about the night sky tragedy?
The Night Sky Tragedy. That's about me.
Humans slaughtered each other until the whole world.
It's about me, guys.
And yet, you have been granted another chance in Auroria. It must be the will of your beloved mother goddess.
Wait, what is this?
However, I still have no trust in your kind.
Okay. Oh wait, yeah, is this Crimson Desert? I think this is Crimson Desert. This looks really good.
Prove yourself. If you survive this trial,
Oh no, it's Arcade Chronicles. Whatever that is. I don't know what that is. I thought this was... Oh. Okay. Nice. Okay. No, it looks really cool. Looks really cool. Oh wait, is that an MMO? Power World, let's go. Oh, I just realized Power World's coming to PS5. It's not available on PS5. Now it is. I just realized that's the announcement of Power World on PS5.
Look at Pal World, an incredible open-world survival game that's launching today on the PlayStation 5 console.
Wow.
We have a few more games with breaking news today, starting with the return of two beloved RPGs from the original PlayStation.
Oh, Final Fantasy IX. Oh, Lunar? What? What? I have a friend who's such a big fan of this series, and she's going to go insane.
Lunar Remastered Collection brings together Lunar, the Silver Star Story Complete, and Lunar 2, Eternal Blue Complete, with updated visuals,
Final Fantasy IX?
and more.
Or Tactics is the next game? Guys, is FF9 about to happen?
Lunar Remastered Collection comes to
Is FF9 about to happen?
PS4 in spring 2025. Two updates on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. First, the Radical Red DLC, which adds Mondo Gecko and Mona
Wait, did she mean
characters? And for no extra cost, a remixed in-game soundtrack featuring some amazing guest composers. Both of these updates arrive later today.
Shadow?
And yes, you heard right. Keanu Reeves is joining Sonic X Shadow Generations as part of the upcoming Sonic
No way.
movie pack. This update is inspired by scenes from the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie and arrives December 12th. The Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie pack is included in the Digital Deluxe Edition, which lets you play the game 3 days ahead of its October 25th release date.
Yes! Peak is back! Gentlemen.
State of Play. I am
Yes!
Producer of Fantasy and Neo Dimension. 手作りのジオラマを使ったファンタジアンネオディメンション
let me move my
150も作りました。そしてランダムエンカウントを貯めていっぺんに戦ったり、
Stock random
スキルの
encounters,
操
yeah.
作したりと単式バトルにも新要素を盛り込んでいます。音楽はファイナルファンタジーシリーズで共に歩んできた
You guys gotta play this game.
PlayStation 5にて2024年
December 5th. Don't fucking say you want turn-based back in FF if you're not gonna play this game. This is a PS1 Final Fantasy through and through. You better play Fantasian, dog. I'm so serious.
We're just over a month away from the release of Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Let's check in with BioWare.
I'm so serious. You better play.
Climactic battle.
You better play Fantasian. Fantasian is coming to PC. Have I played it? Yeah, I played it on iPhone.
Found Gillenane? Not yet, but they found something else worth killing. One of her blighted dragons.
That voice sounds familiar.
You made it. Good.
Wouldn't miss it. We have unfinished business with that dragon.
We've tracked it to a ruined tower nearby.
That lair is a death trap. We need to lure her out to have any chance. So we challenge her, draw the dragon out into the open, then attack.
Yeah, guys, this is Yeah, I think that's Ali Hillis, right? That's her name, Lightning's voice actress.
Everyone, get ready.
Orders! Ready ballistas! Wait for it.
Come on. Come on.
Guys, this is a solid state of play, by the way. Like, this is actually not state of mid.
Force her to land. Second detachment. Flank on the walls. Let's go.
So as a person who's never played the Dragon Age games, I think this game looks dope. You're so right, Crossy. You're so right. I've heard a lot of discourse about this game, but like everything I see of it looks good. So I just don't know enough about Dragon Age to be a hater. But like this might be the first one that I play actually, because I think it looks pretty good. That's just the point of view of a guy who doesn't know shit about the series, by the way.
Gillenane.
Consume their flesh, shatter their bones. Your battle is already lost.
I like that it's purple. Not enough games are purple.
Bureau's first time in Bright Falls. The FBC's research department set up a facility.
Remedy.
The Lake House. If I had any clue what was waiting for us in there, I would have just kept on driving.
Is this like Control 2? Oh, it's a new DLC for Alan. Oh, it's a new DLC for Alan Wake. Okay. Alan Wake 2, The Lake House. Nice. Oh my god, Clark is gonna be so happy. Like, Baby Seal's probably going insane right now. Dude, this is a pretty decent state of play. Yeah, every time like PSVR stuff comes on, like it just kills the vibe immediately.
Few know the truth. I stood with Cain and my brethren until I had the honor of surpassing my lord. For my transgression, I earned a new kind of reward.
I've never played the Legacy of Kain games.
Agony.
The fate of this world was preordained in an instant.
What madness is this?
Am I so changed?
I was not prepared for what lay beyond this threshold.
Okay, chat really loves this one. I never played the original, so...
Don't fight it, Raziel.
Chat is going crazy for this one, though. I'll add it to the list,
Legacy of Kain
chat.
Soul Reaver 1 and 2 Remastered arrives December 10th, celebrating the 25th anniversary of the first game's release.
You sure we can't just do the same?
Games from the original PlayStation era also inspired Fear the Spotlight from Blumhouse Games. It brings atmospheric polygonal scares to PS5 and PS4 on October 22nd.
PS1 nostalgia, dude. PS1 Kino.
Go home, Viv.
Let's go.
I'm happy here. So happy.
At last, we've returned to our ancestral land, Agaspa.
Build villages and nurture vast ecosystems in Towers of Agasba.
What is this?
This colorful world includes unique creatures.
The graphics
a
are
peculiar cast of characters.
incredible.
And also allows you to invite other players to visit your island.
This is an island building game? Because the visuals are like
Towers of Agasba launches into early access this November.
mid-October as well. If not right now.
Guardian of peace.
Now this game,
Crossed paths with men who may one day bring about order.
haven't played a Warriors game in a long
You
time.
must adapt to the chaos.
Well, this does
and
look pretty
find
cool.
a way to survive. So choose your path wisely. Go forth and learn what it means to be a hero.
I think ending off on Metal Gear Solid Delta would be a good idea. That or Silent Hill.
You claim to strive for justice, but have no way to achieve it. Tearing down the system without providing an alternative is mere wanton destruction. The die has been cast. All that remains is to see this through.
This is insane, man. Looks dope.
still hoping that I imagined the whole thing. It's burned into my mind.
So, Captain.
Monster
what's your
Hunter?
team been
Oh,
getting
Monster
up
Hunter
to?
Wilds.
The Guild gave special assignments to some of the other units from the expedition, mine included.
This forest is amazing. My fur isn't built for this kind of weather.
That's causing the water currents to surge too.
Dude, this game is like everywhere. I feel like they've been showing it off so much. This looks so gorgeous, dude. Holy crap.
Ours. You respect.
Probably got a huge marketing budget because of how successful World was. I don't doubt it at all, man.
They just put the meat down. Leave this to me. Heels inbound.
It looks quadruple A. Like it's very impressive.
That's it. The White Wraith. It's real.
Is that what we're after? The White Wraith.
Down there. Someone's in trouble.
It seems we must do a more thorough investigation.
What is that thing? An extinct species.
You're a hunter. You've got a weapon, and you do nothing? Give it to me, and I'll...
Yeah. That's probably going to be the GOATY next year. Wow. That's not far off at all, dude. That is not far off at all. 5 months? Wow, okay. I'm very sold.
皆さんこんにちは。モンスターハンターワイルズプロデューサーのつごとです。本作の発売日が2025年2月28日世界同日発売に決定いたしました。本日より順次予約を開始しますので、ぜひご予約いただければと思います。プレイステーションストアでご予約いただいた方限定の特典として、プレイステーション5でご覧いただけるデジタルミニアートブックをご用意します。9月26日の23時からは TGS2024 カプコンオンラインプログラムを放送いたします。それでは
So I think they only have time for like one more game, guys.
情報にご注目ください。またお会いしましょう。
I think it's either that's the last game or they have one more game.
Look at those chompers. Okay, trail spots aren't cheap, so let's get started. A hunter with a
Imagine this is how they end off.
and her
With Lego Horizon.
are all that stands in the way of an unspeakable evil.
Oh no, they're gonna end with Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster, aren't they?
Their village. Nailed it.
Oh no.
But wait, there's more. With the digital deluxe edition, you get this exciting blue roller thing. And snazzy costumes, like the Shadow Stalwart outfit. And this, I don't know what that is. That or that. Or why they're climbing in that
Industry
cannon.
plant game.
But look how much fun they're having. Come and join the party in Mother's Heart. Phew. Got it all in. No, you didn't. Oh, I forgot to mention the pre-order.
Hi everyone, I'm Kristen Zatani. We are so excited for everyone to get their hands on LEGO Horizon Adventures when it launches on November 14th. And Aloy has more good news on the horizon.
Oh no, here it is. Here it is, chat.
Aloy's original adventure, Horizon Zero Dawn, is being remastered for PS5 and PC by Guerrilla and Nixes. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered includes more than 10 hours of re-recorded conversation mocap and countless graphical improvements that bring the game to the same visual fidelity
Literally.
as Forbidden West.
Fucking why? It looks good, but I mean, like, come on, bro.
This new version of Horizon Zero Dawn will arrive October 31st. And anyone who owns the original PS4 version of the game will be able to upgrade to the new PS5 version for $9.99.
That's good.
Visit
That's really
PlayStation
good.
Blog for more details and watch the full trailer to see
A
all
$10
the
upgrade?
aspects of
Okay.
Aloy's epic quest.
Fair. Very fair.
New content is on the way to the
Yo!
action-packed world of Stellar Blade. A new photo mode lets players set up the perfect picture with your choice of poses,
Oh, no.
expressions, and filters.
Photo mode.
And Stellar Blade's
Oh,
original
no.
soundtrack featuring over 180 songs from the game is available on select streaming services starting today. But that's not all.
Yes! Nier Automata! Oh!
Sci-fi worlds collide in the Stellar Blade and Nier Automata
Yes!
collaboration, coming to Stellar Blade later this year.
Holy based! Holy based! Holy based! And of Stellar Blade, I haven't done it yet. I only beat the game on normal. PS5 controller? Oh, new colors? That all white one is like really nice. Oh, nice.
Hi everyone, I'm Mark Cerny. We recently revealed the newest addition to the PlayStation 5 family, PS5 Pro, alongside several games showcasing the superior frame rates and improved graphics that the new console makes possible. With PS5 Pro, developers have access to 3 key improvements: an upgraded GPU, advanced ray tracing, and AI-driven upscaling that combine to bring developers closer to realizing their unique vision. We're excited for players to get their hands on PlayStation 5 Pro when it launches this November. But in the meantime, here's a look at some of the games that are being enhanced for the new console, including a few titles that we're revealing for the very first time today.
Okay. Nice.
This is the time of our lives.
I have to mute this chat. Okay, let me mute it through here. Because they're playing copyrighted music. Stellar Blade, Rebirth. Oh, that shot of Rebirth looked really good. Metal Gear Solid Delta. Village, Stellar Blade. Nice. RE4. More Rebirth. Rebirth is looking so good on Pro. Shadows. Spider-Man 2. Okay, unmute it. Those are kind of mostly the same games that they showed before, though. Plus or minus a few. What is this? What is this? Oh! Oh, is this Ghost of Tsushima 2? Oh, I think this is Ghost of Tsushima 2. Oh!
People come north to disappear.
Chat.
But you are hunting.
Or is it? Oh, it is.
And now, every Ronin here is after you.
Chat, let's
think you're the hunter.
fucking go. Visuals look so good. Ghost of Tsushima 2, man. Oh man, it looks good, dude. Oh, wow, okay. Next year. Wow. Guys, this was a strong state of play. This was a strong state of play, guys. This was a strong state of play. Can we still get feet pics? If you're good. Yeah, Ghost of Yote. Okay. Wow. Nice. Dude. Okay. That was a state of play. Oh my god, dude. It's unbelievable. What's wrong with you guys? L? Are you serious? Look at these guys. Look at the guys on the Sony chat, dude. They're like, L? Am I like on a fucking different like plane of existence? Like people are really saying that was an L state of play? Really? I thought that was at least a B plus, like low A, like A minus, like that was a W state of play. What the fuck are y'all talking about? So it's not Jin, no. What the fuck? No. No way, bro. No, I can't believe I'm streaming another chat to chat. but but like, come on, bro. That was an State of Woke? Are you fucking serious? Oh my fucking god, dude. Ghost of Woke? Is this because it was a female samurai? Ah! I fucking hate culture wars. 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 I fucking hate culture. Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god, bro. You saw that wonderful trailer for a Ghost of Tsushima sequel, and the first thing you thought of is woke? You are brain broken. You are fucking brain broken. You are fucking brain broken. Get help. Go to therapy. There is something so wrong with you. You are brain broken. You are brain broken. You are not okay. You are not okay, bro. That was your first thought when seeing that trailer. No normal, mentally healthy, well, sane individual thought that. Watching that. Oh my god. Oh my god. Get help. Get help, please. Please. Oh my god. Nobody fucking cares, bro. Nobody cares. Jesus Christ. I hate this shit. I hate this shit. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. Anyway, I'm now more excited for Ghost of Yote. I'm now more excited because of fucks like this. This is just, who even thought that? I wasn't even thinking like that was even going to be an issue. Like, I wasn't even thinking like, oh, people are just going to hate the cool girl Sam. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. Anyway, for normal people, that was a great state of play. That was a great state of play. Look at them. They're still going. Ghost of Woke. Oh my fucking god, dude. Do they feel that way about Stellar Blade? I'm guessing not. No. And I love Stellar Blade, by the way. And I'm very happy for the Nier Automata collaboration for Stellar Blade. Yeah. I'm very excited for the Nier and Stellar Blade collaboration. That was something that I've been praying for since like the start. And yeah. I love girls, so I don't complain. Yeah, bro, that's normal. That means that you're a normal person. You've probably even been outside. You've probably even talked to a girl at least once. Oh my god, dude. These people are fucking like, these people are fucking insane, dude. This shit is fucking insane. Why are people shitting on the game for that? Anyway, I'm excited for Ghost of Yote. I'm excited for Stellar Blade and Stellar Blade DLC. I've been looking for an excuse to go back to that game. I haven't like touched the hard mode yet. The normal mode toward the end, like the boss gauntlet, had some really challenging fights to it. So I'd actually be very excited to go back to play the hard mode, especially if I can kind of skip past some of the side quests, because a lot of them were a bit grueling to do. Not all of them, but the main story content was definitely the best part of Stellar Blade 2. Yote is in Hokkaido. Okay, cool. Because I wasn't actually even sure where Yote was, like, geographically in Japan. I'm not, like, intimately familiar with a map of Japan. Yeah. I don't know. The PlayStation chat is just insane. Remastered Horizon before Bloodborne. That's a fair critique. That's a fair critique that everyone has. That was a good state of play, in my opinion. I would give it a solid B+. Like 85 out of 100. I think that there are plenty of cool upcoming games. I don't feel like they wasted a lot of time. I mean, the women of the bouquet, am I saying that right? Bouquet in Japan were regularly trained in the use of naginata and tanto, expected to defend the household in their husband's absence. All women married to samurai were samurai. Oh, that makes sense. Solid 8, yeah. I give it like a B. B+. I don't feel like I wasted my time with that. And I do feel like we had a couple of cool announcements and things like that. I think anyone saying that's like a D or an F, though, like, I feel like you're just saying that because the game that you specifically wanted was not there. Like, you sold yourself on, like, KH4 or, like, something like that being there. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, but other than that, like, I think it was solid. KH4 was trending on Twitter. People want to be disappointed. Dude, there has been absolutely not a single hint or sign of Kingdom Hearts 4 being present in any way, shape, or form in anything recent. And yet every, like, presentation, people are like, this is the one that Kingdom Hearts 4, like, is gonna be at. And I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. There will be signs, which is a funny expression to say here, but there will be signs, like, leading into it, right? Nomura will say something in an interview, something like that, and you'll get kind of like the clues that it's coming, right? It's never like that left field. So I don't really expect it to happen anytime soon. I think Kingdom Hearts 4 is a 2026 game. Yet people judge these shows based on their own personal expectations, not the overall appeal of the show to the average gamer. Right, exactly. Right, so if the whole show was shit and they showed like Final Fantasy IX Remake, for example, for someone who's like an FF fan, they'd be like, oh my god, this is the best show ever. Even though all they actually showed was that one game, people's bias would be like, oh, they showed the one game I was looking forward to. And so I'm like, it was a W conference. But like, if they didn't show the one game I was looking forward to, then it's an L. And that's like the way these conferences are judged. And I kind of hate that. And that's coming from a guy who's a big hater, right? Who is kind of cynical on like, yeah, these conferences are about to waste our fucking time again. But I don't think you can always judge them like just purely based on like, oh, like fucking, the thing that I specifically wanted wasn't there, so it's L conference. But that's like totally the way that most people work. That was not an L conference. That was a solid, an incredibly solid B. Right? Like that was an incredibly solid B. Now, the other side of that is that you could say that they didn't do enough to really sell PS5 Pro. at this conference. That is something that we could probably like agree on if that's a critique you want to make. I would say that like, you know, PS5 Pro is still the justification for the $700 for most people is still not like entirely there. But I think they showed some solid games off. Free Astrobot DLC, Stellar Blade's getting DLC with Nier Automata. Monster Hunter Wild's got a date. Ghost, yeah, a sequel to Ghost. I think it's a B. At least. At least. Lunar 1 and 2 collection is such a nice surprise. I have a friend, she's going to be very excited about that because she loves those games. We knew it was early 2025 too. Yeah, but there's like a date now, like a real date. I do feel like most of the stuff was already shown, which is why it might be a bit dull. But I kind of get, at the same time, I do get maybe like why some people may view it as an L, because I think we're overdue for a PlayStation showcase. I think that's where like some of the mentality on this is coming from. Would you guys agree with that? Like, we're kind of overdue for this overwhelming kind of showcase of upcoming PlayStation titles that kind of remind you of why you're why you bought a PS5 or why you're excited for PlayStation as a brand. I think that's was more the problem than like this individual state of play, at least to me. It's just more like we feel the need for that showcase. Absolutely. Okay. I think that's the problem, because I think that like this would be like a good state of play, but I think the problem that people are feeling is not that this state of play wasn't a good state of play. I think it's that people want a PlayStation showcase, like an actual PlayStation showcase, because I feel like there is, and I'm not necessarily saying that this is how I feel or that this is how you should feel, but it does seem that there is some type of sentiment out there for a lot of people that the reasons to own a PlayStation 5 haven't been that strong. And a lot of people feel like PS5 has been lacking this generation, and it hasn't really made the same value proposition that PlayStation 4 has. Especially after that price showing. Right. And I feel like they needed to do a showcase and show off, like, you know, not just games that are coming within like the next year, but even like this is the future of like what PlayStation is, to kind of reassure faith in PlayStation. Because we just had, you know, the PS5 Pro announcement and, you know, the perceptions that people had from the $700 system. And then we've also just had Concord, which was also kind of a major L for the brand. So I feel like maybe the kind of influence for people there is simply that we really just needed a PlayStation showcase and not a state of play, not an incremental update, but an actual substantial showing that reaffirms you this is why you bought PS5. I think that's the real problem there. Well, I'm glad this State of Play didn't have too many shooters. I'm still sick of VR, to be honest. No offense to people who like VR. Yeah. There's always kind of a sentiment that everyone falls asleep when the VR shit comes on. Everyone checks out. Everyone checks out when the VR shit comes on. I see no reason to get a Pro. We'll probably wait for the PS6. I think that that's pretty normal, right? Like, even with the PS4 Pro, which was pretty reasonably priced, I think a lot of people still skipped the PS4 Pro, even though it was incredibly reasonably priced for the time, right? It took on the $400 tag. I bought a PS4 Pro. Well, actually, my girlfriend bought me a PS4 Pro. To let me not take the credit. She'd kill me if I took the credit. She bought me a PS4 Pro for Christmas. And it was a good deal. It was actually a very good system. I really like the PS4 Pro. She probably will not get me a PS5 Pro. She probably will not do that. WGF. Yeah, actually, you know, it was funny. Because we had just started dating and Final Fantasy 15 had came out, and so she actually got me a PS5 Pro for that Christmas. So she's like, "Oh, you can use the PS5 Pro features on your game." So it's very cool. Yeah, if she gets me the PS5 Pro, I'm pretty sure she basically owns me at that point. If PS5 is my only system, it's hard to say as I've used. Well, first of all, I think the kind of difference though too, especially with PS5 versus PS4, is that I'm actually satisfied with the performance of most games on PS5, right? Like with PS4 to PS4 Pro, you were getting those 60 frame per second modes, you were getting like the upscaled 4K. So there was a lot more value there, right? But honestly, I feel like the performance mode on most PS5 games is good. In fact, the only two games that have had disappointing like performance modes, like extremely disappointing performance modes for me, were both Square Enix, and that was Final Fantasy 16 and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Those were the only two games where I said like, the performance mode here is not that good. Right? But I feel like for most other PlayStation games, I haven't really like been like the performance mode's not good enough. At least to me. Sorry, my alarm's going on. PS5 exclusive would be doomed, but that's probably the only way they'd have a chance of selling me one. A PS5 Pro exclusive, yeah. But they're not gonna do like PS5 Pro exclusive, so I mean, PS6 will be backwards compatible. That's not a concern that you should have. I wish Sony would contact smaller companies to make AA level exclusives to fill the blanket for their AAA titles. Right, and that's kind of what Astrobot is, right? And that's also what Sony used to have, like during like PlayStation 1 all the way up until PlayStation 3, I think. PlayStation 4 is kind of like when that started to fall off. But Sony used to have those AA games that they would have in between. It's just really unfortunate. They lost their Ape Escape, guys. They lost their ape escape. They're like, you know, they're fun games that were not like, you know. Actually, I guess that was like more of a flagship title back then because that's before Sony started doing the more aggressively like realistic mature stuff. Really, it was PS3 when that started to like kind of shift more toward AAA. All their misfortune seems to stem back to dissolving Japan studio, would you say? Yeah, I mean, you know, that was just such a terrible move anyway. Like in like so many different regards, that was such a terrible fucking move. I think they just fucked up with that. I think that if you're a first party company, like if you're a Microsoft or a Nintendo or a Sony, you should not be like, we're going to be all Western or we're going to be all Japanese or anything like that. You should diversify, right? Because if you're like the platform owner and you're trying to make exclusives, you should be like, we're going to have Western games, we're going to have games from Japan, we're going to support, you know, like the Korean game industry as it's starting to take off. And yeah, we should have like all these different first party studios and IPs and diverse. And to some degree, Sony has done that, right? They do have Stellar Blade. They have, you know, for better or worse, locked exclusivity to of like Final Fantasy to PlayStation. So, Couch Potato, hello. What's up, man? Also, why is only Final Fantasy VII Rebirth getting a PS5 Pro update? Why is FF16 not getting one? That's actually strange. Especially considering how many people complained about the performance mode on it. I guess because the team really wants to move on and they already released the PC version of 16. Portfolio diversification, what's that? A third-person narrative game, right? Right, ideally, right? Like, if I was Sony, I'd be making, you know, God of War, The Last of Us, and I'd be making, like, all these first-party Japanese games, too. Right? I'd be doing both. Like, it's kind of weird that they kind of forsaked the, their Japanese audience just entirely, it seems like. I'm 90% sure there are like 5 people left on 16. Yeah, it's not much. That PC port is so whack. Yeah, it's not very big, and I would have expected them to drop like some type of update, considering like all the complaints around difficulty or anything else like that. But like, it's actually very strange that there's no PS5 Pro. Actually, oh, that's a good point. The frame rate could be uncapped. It's entirely possible that 16 doesn't need a PS5 Pro patch. If the frame rate is uncapped, it could, I mean, it is uncapped. It might just reach 60 frames without without you patching it at all. Like, it might just do that. Exactly, 16's performance mode should automatically lock 60 on the Pro. Okay. Maybe that's why they're not doing like an official update on it, right? Because with Rebirth, like, it is locked 60, but at what cost? Right? Because it's blurry as hell and it's got some resolution issues, right? And and then the resolution scaling issue should also fix because it's dynamic based on what the frame rate is. So it'll only like really sync in order to keep the thing. So yeah, it could just be that 16 plays it could just be that 16 plays good on PS5 Pro by default, and it doesn't actually need the patch. That's what I'm hoping. But yeah, solid state of play. My phone just dropped. It will not lock 60 on the Pro, but as if they patched it, there's a chance. It's using FSR 1.0, so a switch to PSRR would help drastically. Oh, I was assuming that it would reach it because of the extra processing power of the GPU on an uncapped frame rate might make it run at 60. Actually, speaking of which, Final Fantasy 15 had a terrible performance mode. Does Final Fantasy 15's performance mode on PS5? I wonder how that runs. Actually, I wonder if that finally like locks 60. Rebirth on PC next year. Actually, you know, considering when Remake launched Integrate and the PC version of it, they did that at the Game Awards, right? Considering that there's no way Rebirth won't be at least nominated for Game of the Year, I'm willing to bet that we could see Rebirth nominated for Game of the Year, and like that's the perfect place to say that, oh yeah, we're also doing a PC port of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And also imagine the sales they'll get too from like if they win, right? The PC port is coming and it's nominated for Game of the Year. Also, I mean, you know what, too? Wouldn't it be even better? Like, maybe I'm not like the marketing guy. Maybe I'm not. But perhaps, like, shadow dropping Rebirth PC at the Game Awards might not be the worst idea. Especially if it's Steam Day 1. Because if they win, it's Rebirth Game of the Year. If you haven't played it on PS5, go play it on PC. It's out right now on PC. Read PS blog for Ghost of Tsushima 2? Okay. Let me... Ghost of Yote is coming in 2025. Guys, this game looks incredibly awesome. I could not be more excited for it. Let's go ahead and check out and see what the PlayStation blog has to say. Sucker Punch's latest adventure introduces a new ghost. Today, we are happy to announce Yote, the latest game from Sucker Punch, and the introduction of our new hero, Atsu. When we set out to make a new Ghost game, we wanted to maintain the core pillars established in Ghost of Tsushima, playing as a wandering warrior in feudal Japan, offering freedom to explore at your own pace, and highlighting the beauty of the world. Let's see. We also wanted to continue to innovate, to create something fresh but familiar. We wanted to look beyond Jinsaki's story and the island of Tsushima and shifted focus to the idea of the ghost instead. At Sucker Punch, we love origin stories, and we wanted to explore what it could mean to have a new hero wearing a ghost mask and uncovering a new legend. This led us to Ghost of Yote, a new protagonist, a new story to unfold, and a new region of Japan to explore. Oh, let me see. I fucked it up. Okay. While we aren't diving into specifics yet today, we can reveal that Atsu's story we can reveal that Atsu's journey takes place in 1603, more than 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima. Our story is set in the lands surrounding Mount Yote, a towering peak in the heart of Ezo, an area of Japan known as Hokkaido in present day. In 1603, this area was outside the rule of Japan and filled with sprawling grasslands, snowy tundras, and unexpected dangers. It's a far cry from the organized samurai clans who lived in Tsushima, and it's the setting for an original story we can't wait to tell. Dude, she looks really cool. Everyone hating on the protagonist and everyone, like, you know, being like woke game or whatever, Ghost of Woke. I mean, politely get fucked. Assassin's Creed Shadows is fucked. Yeah, I mean, kind of, right? Because the difference is that this is a game that is not being made by Ubisoft, so it's going to be good. This has a much better chance of being probably a better game, right? And I mean, it looks good. This is something that, again, I just played the first game on PC, and so I've seen the PC port, and the PC port looks amazing, and I can tell that the visual effects and everything have been upgraded from that port, and yeah, Ghost 2 is looking pretty awesome, guys. Continuing onward, they say, this is also Sucker Punch's first game, built up from the ground up for PS5, and we're excited to build on the visual foundation we established in Ghost of Tsushima by making the world feel even more real. We have massive sight lines that let you look across the environment. Whole new skies featuring twinkling stars and auroras, even more believable movement from wind on grass and vegetation, and more improvements we'll share in the future. Our new setting also gives us the opportunity to introduce new mechanics, gameplay improvement, and even new weapons. Our trailer today offers a glimpse into the world, but there is so much more to show, and we'll have much more to share in the months ahead, including details about Atsu's journey and the people and animals she'll meet along the way. We are forever grateful for the success of Ghost of Tsushima, and we can't wait for you all to experience Ghost of Yote in 2025. 1603 is at the start of the Edo era, and Hokkaido at the time is still under the Ainu, and they don't obey the Tokugawa shogunate. Okay, nice. Good history lesson there. I think it looks cool. You know, it's rare that I'm just objectively like, you guys can just get bent if you're hating, you know, because I try to listen to people's concerns with stuff. You know, I'm you know, in touch with things. I empathize with people and all that good stuff. But this game looks dope. And I think if you're hating on this for reasons that could be resolved by you touching grass, then you should definitely go touch grass. In fact, this game has a lot of beautiful grass, and I'm very excited for it. Baby Seal, hello. How are we doing, champ? Dude, I'm excited. I thought that state of play was a solid B+. I thought that they showed off a lot of great games, and I think that they ended well with Ghost of Yote. AC Shadows is Ghost of Yote at home. Yeah. It's kind of over for AC Shadows because this is just going to be a better game overall, right? Like, because again, one is being made by Ubisoft. So I'm sure that this will be the superior game between the two. It is aggravating that some people were calling this like Ghost of DEI and shit like that. That made me like pull my hair out. But other than that, yeah, this is pretty exciting. And then the Astro Bite DLC and the Stellar Blade DLC And yeah, there's just so much good stuff going on, man. There's so much good stuff. I don't see a need to be a hater right now. And this is coming from a big hater, cynical, nihilist motherfucker who loves being a hater. Most interesting titles from State of Play: Midnight Walk, Hell Is Us, Lunar Remastered, Fantasia, Fear the Spot. Yeah, I thought there were some really interesting titles. You know, Monster Hunter Wilds. A lot of people are just mad, like no FF9 remake, bad show. No Kingdom Hearts 4, bad show. Yeah. I was just happy to be here, man. Yeah. And I don't know, guys. I don't agree that like that anything is like really that bad this time. I know some people are like, yeah. Woman with the demon mask on, how the hell is that DEI? Well, you and I both know the answer to that. It's the first word in your sentence, bro. That's the part that upsets them, ironically. I actually was surprised by how much action gameplay they showed. Yeah, they showed gameplay mostly. It wasn't like CGI trailers or anything like that. Yeah. Also, it was great to see Sakaguchi, right? Like Sakaguchi has aged so well. I was thinking, I'm like, dude, he is dilfing out so hard. He looked great with his haircut and everything. New Rebirth update detailed on Twitter. Can you link that to me, Clark? Can you put that in the chat? No FF Tactics, so it's a wash, I'm afraid. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the FF Tactics is coming, so okay, we got the link here. Let's take a look at this. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be PS5 Pro enhanced with version 1.050 launching November 7th. Versatility mode will be available when playing on PS5 Pro, allowing you to play at 60 frames per second with graphical fidelity that matches the existing graphics mode. That's awesome. I'm really excited about that. Is there any other further details that they have for us? Other than that, I mean, I guess not. It's not like they're announcing like a DLC or anything. It also sucks that they put this out on Twitter, because Twitter, like, first of all, video quality autos to 720p, and lo and behold, you can only like really look at this at 720p. And so, you know, you really can't notice the difference on 720p. But yeah, there is some more footage here, and I'm excited for Rebirth, honestly, on PS5 Pro. I am really excited for it. However, I have to admit, as excited for it as I am, I do think I would just be more excited to be able to play Rebirth on PC. $700 for a performance mode fix? Yeah. Well, and then that's also kind of the thing too. $700 for a performance mode fix, and then it's just going to go way harder on my PC. Like, it's just going to look incredible on my PC, and then it still won't be as good as the version that I'm going to get when I play it on Steam, right? That's like the problem that I'm seeing here, is that like it is good, and if you are going to get a PS5 Pro, it's good, but like versus just getting the game on Steam, it's going to like, I'm not seeing the value proposition for me. If you're strictly a console gamer, sure, there is a value proposition there for you, and it's gonna look really awesome, right? But for me, playing on like a 4070 Ti Super, I'll probably have upgraded to a 5000 series graphics card by then even, because I got like an upgrade deal going on here. I just don't think that the PS5 Pro is really going to provide like the necessarily like superior experience to that, versus like when the game eventually does come to PC and you know, I can play it ultra wide 344 by 1440 at like 120 frames per second. And that's going to be amazing. And that's not like an experience that everyone necessarily needs. However, for me personally, that's going to be pretty dope. If you can't tell the difference, if you're one of those people who is like, I didn't even know that Final Fantasy VII Re-Trilogy was blurry. I didn't know that, you know, if you're like, I didn't even know that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was blurry. I didn't know that the performance mode was a big deal. Then I don't think you need to upgrade to PS5 Pro, like at all. I don't think you have the, and this isn't to be insulting, I just don't think you have the eye for it, like, for it to like really make a difference for you. If you own a 1080p television screen, you don't need to buy a PS5 Pro. And actually, I recently found out how many people are really using older televisions thanks to the discourse around PS5 Pro. And it made me realize that a lot of people don't even have the screen to like even like really know. It also is kind of revealing on like some of the graphics discourse too. Like some of the jank televisions that people use. And then we'll be like, oh, I really don't see the difference between this and that. And a big part of that is just like people are not using like really sharp displays or as sharp as displays as someone who's really into graphics and high-end visuals. And so when they look at it, you know, it just looks the way their TV always looks. And so it bottlenecks that quite a lot. But like for me personally, I can see an extreme difference. I'm fortunate enough to have like a number of really good displays in my house. In fact, every display that I have is like pretty incredible. Like we have some really good, I shouldn't be saying this because then people will rob me, but we have good displays. We have good displays. And so, yeah, fortunately, you know, when I do look at these games, I see gorgeous graphics. But it also makes like imperfections and stuff a lot more apparent whenever you can see the OLED screen and you can see the visual difference. If you don't own an OLED screen, if you don't own a 240 hertz OLED, then I would go ahead and buy that first. And skip the PS5 Pro. Or if you have money, buy both. But if you don't have an OLED and you don't have, you know, a really nice 240 hertz higher end television, if you have a cheaper screen that you got from Walmart or something like that, and I'm not shaming, class shaming here. For sure, I'm definitely not. But I'm just like literally saying like your money will not be well placed if you prioritize buying PS5 Pro over those things. Because trust me when I say, if you don't have those things, you're already not getting the full fidelity from your PS5 regular. So I would say go ahead and upgrade to a screen like that, and you're going to get more of a visual boost from that. And then if you want to add on to that, or if later you can, you know, you can definitely add on to that later. Rich YouTuber Night Sky King making fun of peasants. I wish, bro. I wish. If I was, I would be like, y'all ain't got $700? Nice Guy King wipes his ass with $700. No, I wish. I think the lack of ultra wide support with PS5 Pro is like a huge downside. It's the biggest L for me personally. It's such a huge L that it's like, yeah, PS5 Pro, like it's good for the console fans, but like, and I guess like because console gamers have never played a game on ultra wide, they've never used probably like 21 by 9 if you're strictly a console gamer. Once you play games on 21 by 9, I promise you, you will never want to sit in front of a console game screen ever again and play like 16 by 9 on a television. You will never want to do it. If you play a game on ultra wide with a curved monitor, you will become so PC gamer pilled. You'll be like, I don't even see why people need consoles. I promise you, it will happen instantly. I have a 39-inch ultra wide. Sorry. Sounded kind of wrong for a second. I have a 39-inch ultra wide. And it is so incredible. Like, speaking of, I play like Ghost of Tsushima on it, which has ultra wide support. And it looks so good, right? And you think that extra 5 inches doesn't matter. But it does. Or not 5 inches, but 5 ratio. You know what I'm saying? Because 21 by 9, 5, it works. It's really well. I have trouble figuring out how to fit an ultra wide at size I would actually want. 32-inch equivalent for 16 by 9 on my desk while still having multi-monitor setups. So I don't use multi-monitor. I just use a single ultra wide. Because I prefer ultra wide over dual monitor, personally. I know a lot of people don't. Like, yeah. What kind of FPS do you get on that ultra wide? Like 100 plus. Like my GPU still spits out 100 plus for like most games. Even running on ultra graphics, it still spits out. And that's also like, and again, like, so imagine you have that setup as a PC gamer and like someone's trying to talk to you about PS5 Pro. And you're playing games at ultra wide 120 frames per second. And someone's trying to tell you about like PSSR or some bullshit. And you're just like, okay, whatever. You know? But that's kind of like, I mean, that's what PC gaming is like, right? Like, you have like, if you have like a good setup, you know, do you play console games on a TV or a monitor? Both. A TV, monitor, and projector. But mostly on either my monitor or on the projector. The reason I play on my monitor is because it's just easy to record footage. So I have to plug my PS5 up to my PC to record, stream, play. Also, too, it's just easier to be at my desk because even if I'm not recording, it's easier for me to like reply to people on Discord and all kinds of other stuff. I have a BenQ gaming projector, like 4K gaming projector. See, you could say that PC is like 1% playing games and 99% annoying people about PCs. But like, how many annoying console fans are there? And let's compare that like relative to like PC gamers just making fair points about PCs. And I think that if you compared those directly, you would find that console gamers are actually way more annoying and way more obsessed with their platform than PC gamers are. Like, take your average, like, Nintendo stan or, like, your average pony, and I think you will find that they are way more insufferable than any PC guy, at least in my experience. Or take your average Xbot. Take your average Xbot especially. Oh my god. Xbots are hella annoying, bro. I'm not saying that PC bros can't be annoying, but I think that if you fairly weigh us to console guys, like console like fanboys, I don't think that we're actually that bad relative to the absolute core of console fandom. We're also not as insane. Right? Like, if a game that was on PC comes to console, no PC person cares. If a console game, a console exclusive comes to PC, like, there's a lot of ponies who will like melt down over that. So anyway, yeah, I don't think PC guys are as bad. I think that like PC guys get painted as bad because we're the enemy of all the console guys. So like it's easy for Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox all to come together and be like PC guys are the problem. But really, each console fanboy is probably more annoying, and there is more of them. I think there are more console fanboys versus PC fanboys than there are more annoying console fanboys in the wild, but just by the statistics. Perhaps so. Yeah, I don't think that PC is necessarily like, oh, you're like well off versus like the poors or anything like that. I think that like PC gaming is just very economical for a lot of people because they have to work on PCs and they need to have PCs. And yes, like a PlayStation is like, gonna allow you to play like more of the latest games in 4K unless you have a pretty decent PC. But a lot of people don't necessarily need to play those games at 4K. And as evident by PS5 Pro, a lot of people can't even tell the difference between a lot of the graphic stuff. So for a lot of people, if they can still play these games on their 1070, then it's still them playing the game, right? If that makes sense. Versus them just not being able to play the game. So, I think for them, that's still like a huge advantage. That's still like a big deal. Because everyone will say, well, yeah, you could play it best on a console, but like someone can also just play something on the shitty laptop that they already have, right? I'll give you an example. Like, if you could play, well, any game really, if you could play the game already on the shitty laptop that you own at 1080p 30 versus like going and buying a PS5 that could play it at like 1440p 60, you'd play it on your shitty laptop that can just play the game at like 1080p 30. Like if we're talking about like what's, economical for most people, right? And so that's kind of the thing that people forget is that they're just comparing performance for price. I'm comparing the thing that you already have, that already exists in your house, that can technically play the game. May not play the game as nice, depending. But the nice thing is that you can buy it, and then if you ever upgrade your computer, or as computer parts inevitably get cheaper, you can have all the games in your library at better frames and better graphics and all these other things. I think that's a pretty reasonably good deal. So, yeah. Anyway, I think we're going to leave off there, guys. I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be doing a very, very, very big stream. I'll be announcing more details about it on Twitter, but we'll be getting together with other Final Fantasy content creators, and we're going to be talking about the state of Final Fantasy. It's going to be very good. It is going to be the best FF podcast that you've heard in a very long time. I promise. We're going to knock it out of the park. So please look out for that, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Later.